So what should be next for George Kambosos? Should it be Tank Davis or should it be Devin Haney? I just happened to see this while I was watching both lives yesterday, the post conferences, and Tank Davis went well over 13,000 views, whereas the Devin Haney one, when Devin Haney finally came out, was only around 400 to 500 views. So there is no question who is the bigger star. It's clearly Tank Davis. Before I get too deep into the video, hit the thumbs up, sub, and notification bell. That way you get updated when I drop the newest content like this. With that being said, let's get into the video. Again, I'm sick trying to do these the best I can, so bear with me. So here's the big question for George Kambosos. Do you go for Tank Davis or do you go for Devin Haney if both guys come out victorious in their fight? Now, what means more? Does Undisputed mean more to the person fighting, or does more money mean more? See, that's the thing about it. If you can get the Tank fight, then I would say I would go for Tank first. It's a huge name. Nobody is going to look down upon you for fighting Tank Davis. If anything, people will applaud you for fighting Tank Davis. Is it for Undisputed? No. But the money that comes with that fight more than likely would be much greater than what's going to come with Devin Haney, judging off of the live stream views. So I have to ask this question. Should he go for money or should he go for Undisputed? Some Tio fans argue that Kambosos is already undisputed. I do not fall into that camp. I did not believe Tio was undisputed, and I do not believe that George Kambosos is undisputed. However, if he wants to try to cash out, I think Tank Davis is the easier fight for him, to be honest with everybody. I think Tank is easier for George Kambosos to beat than Devin Haney is, because you have a much shorter guy who's got to get in close, kind of like Tio, and he could box him from range. And then it comes down to how well can Tank do against a guy who's much longer than him, keeping him at bay. See, he didn't do so well against Mario Barrios. He was getting worked by the jab whenever he was fighting a much taller, longer guy. George Kambosos isn't that much smaller than Mario Barrios in height. And he definitely started at a much higher weight class than Mario Barrios started out when he started his career. So he's probably the naturally bigger guy. Again, I think the Tank fight makes more sense. If I was George Kambosos, I would try to do everything I could to fight Tank and then go into a Devin Haney fight. Because if you lose to Devin Haney, it's okay. You lose to him, you don't get the true undisputed title. However, you already cashed out. If you lose to Tank Davis, well, you lose to Tank Davis. Nobody's going to say anything bad about you. He's been knocking people out left and right. And there's really nothing bad going to come to it, but you do cash out once again. However, if he fights Devin Haney first and loses, then his cash out is much smaller. Much, much, much smaller. So I think as far as business, financial sense, and I know people aren't going to like me saying it, but I think Tank Davis is the bigger fight, and I think it makes more money. So if I had to pick a route for him to go, and if he's truly about only fighting the best, I would say target Tank Davis first. If he refuses to go to Australia and it doesn't make sense on paper to fight him, because you know it's going to go to the scorecard, you're not going to knock out Tank. If you feel like you might get robbed and you don't want to deal with that, then go the Devin Haney route, because Devin Haney's already said that he'll go to Australia. And it's still lucrative, it's just not as lucrative. So again, that's how I would do it. If you could get Tank to come to Australia first and foremost, then I would jump on it, but I doubt he would. As far as TMT goes, they're not going to care about how many belts George Kambosos has. All they care about is pay-per-view numbers and how much money you can generate. That's all they care about. They don't care about belts. They don't care about anything else. So, again, you have that thing to where it's like, you got to make your choice. What do you want? More money? Or do you want to actually have the true claim of undisputed? Again, my final going in circles, I'm a little sick on medicine, so it might be getting like repetitive. But again, I think Tank Davis makes more sense. I think it's the easier fight. And I think it's a fight that if he goes into, I think he has a very, very high chance of beating Tank Davis. And whereas if he fights Devin Haney, I think it's a 50-50 fight. So I'll say like this. These are my splits. I'll say I give it 70-30 Kambosos against Tank Davis because I've seen how bad he struggles against a guy who couldn't even really move. An immobile fighter that could just jab good. I saw how bad he struggled against that. And I say 70-30 Kambosos beats Tank Davis. Devin Haney, on the other hand, it's a 50-50 fight because I don't know which man's faster. When they come to fight each other, the winner is going to be the quicker one because they are both very similar in how they move, how they fight. They're not identical, they're similar. And the thing about it is, when you fight the same way as somebody else, normally the faster guy wins. The guy with the better body movement and timing normally wins. I would say in the timing department, I would edge Kambosos. I would say in the movement department, I would edge Devin Haney. So it's going to come down to who's the faster guy, who can get off the trigger first, who can hit the other guy before he can let off his shots. That's going to decide the fight. And without seeing them both in the ring against each other, it's very hard to tell who it is. So Tank Davis, beat him, fight Devin Haney, get another big payday, and then fight, I don't know who you got next at that division. I don't want to say Ryan Garcia because we all seen what happened with him. If Lomachenko can get his win, that would be a good victory as well. So if you really want to do it big and assuming all the big names win, I would go Tank Davis, Devin Haney, then Lomachenko. Then if you can beat those three guys back to back, I would do a tune-up at 140 and see how you do up there because there's nothing left to do at 135 unless you just don't feel like you can fight at 140. If you don't feel like that's your best weight class, then stay where you're at. You don't have to be a multi-divisional champion to be good. Some guys don't need to move up. Nowadays, you see fighters move up very often, but it's not a necessity. So he's just got to see what he wants to do. And who knows? If Kambosos can get through all the big names at 135, when he goes up to 140, his body may be stronger. He may hit harder and he may even move faster. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. I know a lot of people are going to say go for Undisputed over money, but when you caught lightning in a bottle, you need to take advantage of it as long as you have it in that bottle. So I say go for that money.